Hey, Cody.
Hey, Maddie.
In this demo, we are going to look at the cost and usage reports in Tailpipe.
Yep. Yeah, so recently we've added the capability to also ingest your cost and usage reports, whether it's the legacy or the 2.0 from AWS that you just turn on and export like normal into, say, something like S3. So recently added that capability to ingest that, and then you can use Tailpipe to query, analyze, just like all the other log types as well.
Amazing. Let's see how it works.
I have already collected my logs, so just to show what that looks like a little bit and how easy it is to get started in terms of pulling in your cost and usage reports into Tailpipe. So I've already collected a fairly large data set, but just to show a little bit of what the configuration angle looks like and what I had to do before I could actually collect was, just like other log tables, create a fairly basic partition for the cost and usage report, and then from there, point it to my S3 bucket with the appropriate creds. So no extra configuration, overall fairly quick and simple. Mainly just, hey, what's the bucket and what's the prefix that everything's stored under? And then Tailpipe was able to go out and collect all of my usage reports for about the last month. So let's just jump right into the interesting part, I think, maybe the querying, and look at some of the billing data. So from here, there's a lot of fields within, especially the new cost and usage report, the 2.0. They came out a couple of years ago. What I'll do is I'll start with the first query, and overall, just looking to get per month, what was my spend out of the report. So from here, I can see in February, 592. I jumped up a significant amount, which we can look at a little bit later in some of the additional queries and data that I have. But here I can see there was a jump of 592 to 14,000. Part of that was I had partial February data, so it wasn't necessarily a full increase of 13.5 K there, but it just starts to give me an idea of what am I spending and start to pull out some of the data from that report. And then just to kind of keep cutting through a little bit, this is looking at for the services. What does my spend look like there? What are my top 10 services by cost? So here I can see RDS is actually the kind of biggest offender or most expensive service that we run today, followed by EC2, ECR. So these three, not overall surprise. CloudWatch, though, pretty surprising actually at 694. So from there, we might go and look in the accounts and say, hey, how are we spending $700 on CloudWatch? Is it the alarms? Is it metrics? Is it something else? So overall, just to help us give a bird's eye view, aggregate info across our spend data this way.
See if there's anything to trigger the spidey sense to say, this is unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. In addition to the high level aggregate, you can get account specific info or product specific info as well. So for example, if I'm just looking in this particular account and I'm just want to start grabbing out some individual product lines or some particular costs from here, I can drill into that as well from Tailpipe. So I can start to pull out specific lines. There might be a lot, so I limit it to 10 here, but initially just going through and looking at my most recent usage data. So for this account, February 1st is the last time that I had collected this account's data at least. But here I can see, for this particular bucket, AWS reported 0 cost, which is okay. But then I start to get in some costs here. Maybe let me check. I think sometimes there's a bit of rounding happening as well. I think the 10 digits or something like that. So let me see. There's fractions of a cost here. And this is the kind of data that I'm getting. So I can always modify the query, look for costs over a certain amount that way. But in general, the data is very flexible. It's all there. It's exactly what you'd export out. Whatever fields you selected from the cost and usage report, those are the ones that we then pull in and then fill in the table. Okay, in addition to just being able to ingest the data and pull it, we've also created a Powerpipe mod where you can go ahead and actually run all of these as well. So jumping over to here, there's a couple reports, dashboards out of the box that you can run. So first I'll start with the overview, and then I'll go to the different cost by different dimension dashboards and kind of show what some of those look like as well. So loading in overview, again, similar to some of the queries that I had shown before, this is really just high level view of what are the costs in my account. So here, for instance, across, I think it's from February and on for most accounts, total cost I can see is actually on spending around 14,000 across 94 accounts at the moment. Just start to get some trends information. And for instance, here I can see on March 17th, there was a spike of around $2,000, $2,500 compared to normal. So that might be something that I'd want to look into and go, what happened on that day? What was the cost in particular? Was it a particular service, a resource, a new project, something like that I could kind of figure out from within my cost data. And here we just do some more top 10s, just things that you might want to key in on and go, what are these? And should I be spending this much? Or, this is perfectly reasonable. I'd expect these costs from an account perspective, from an overall region aggregate across all of the accounts. And then some other cuts as well, like even services or particular resources as well, where we can drill in a bit and kind of see per resource, what is AWS telling us in terms of how much this thing is costing us month to month.
So yeah, we can really look at the different dimensions about, are we concerned about per account cost, or like you said, are there specific services? And if we've got certain budgeting for them, say, hey, this project that's running this service is supposed to be at this perspective. So really putting it through all those different lenses.
We also have different reports that kind of cut across different dimensions. So I'll show some of those and some different views and will help users drill in a bit. So this is the cost by account. So this one looking similar to some others. Here, there's now a kind of stack chart. So for instance, I can see, from here I can see that this account, $3,600, and I can just kind of drill in a bit, kind of see what accounts cost the most, and again, kind of figure out why is that a little bit. Some trend graph. My data is a little broken up since I mainly have March data, but if I had more, you would see a nice line across in order to see how our different accounts trending month over month. And then here I just have a table, which is mostly the same, but this is not necessarily a top 10. This actually shows all accounts that I have in my giving billing data, and then I could use this table to explore the data that way. Here's another one. This is cost by region. So this is looking from the region dimension. Again, very similar. I can kind of see, global services, things in US East 1, things in US East 2, they make up a large majority of my costs within March. I can start to, again, do a little bit of trend graph, which is, again, not great just based on my data, but as you gather month to month and just keep ingesting more and more data with CloudTrail, the graphs will continue to smooth out, and you can then really spot any anomalies as you're looking at that particular trend. And then here, a very similar table, but from here now it's looking at per region, per account, what are my highest costs? So for instance, here within my billing account, I can see that within a global region, there's something, cost me $2,500. So maybe I go into the account and take a more in-depth look at what's in that account, in particular, what's in global. Similarly, there's 2 entries here for this account ending in 191, but now it's broken out by region. So now I can really see, even if I knew overall, $3,000, $4,000, but per region, I can start to break down which region is actually costing me the most. Again, just another cut. I'm not going to dive into everything, but cost by service. I can see, here's one that kind of stands out where it's an APN fee, and at first, just looking at it, is kind of going, maybe I didn't expect this, or maybe I knew about this, this partner network fee that I'm kind of getting this way, and then this would actually explain a lot of the costs and potentially some spikes as well, where this this 2,500 figure matches up with some of the earlier data that we've seen as well. So as I start to look across some of these different reports and dashboards that cut my billing data in different ways, I can start to then correlate or just understand better what's costing me certain amounts, or what's the highest within each of my given accounts. And then lastly, what I'm going to show real quick is just very popular is creating cost allocation tags in your account. And then these also come through in the cost and usage billing reports as well. So for what this particular report allows us to do is it allows us to drill in and look by tag key. So for instance, if I want to maybe go by anything that's tagged with AWS created by, as AWS exports that billing data, my resource data based on tag key, I can see anything with this particular tag. For each value, how much is something costing me? So if your organization leans very heavily into tags and really enforces certain tag values or patterns, I think a report like this could be really valuable, because then you could really see per application, per environment, per requirement, per user, who's doing what, and in particular, what's driving up costs. And if you see anomalies, you can really dig in with a particular app team or a particular user even on why resources tagged with their username or their application name are really driving up costs in certain accounts and in certain regions as well.
Yeah, I feel like you said, if you're leaning on to using tags to understand what you have, then being able to overlay that and say, okay, but what's the spend look like in that same way? How we reason about our AWS infrastructure is really key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And of course, within all of these reports, you can continue to use the built-in Powerpipe filtering. So for example, if I just wanted to look at US East 1 in this tag key value chart, I can always just filter down on US East 1 and just look at associated value cost this way. Similarly, I can also exclude US East 1 if I want to kind of see what other regions have resources tagged with this that are also costing us money as well. So as always, all the benefits that Powerpipe gives to other reports and dashboards, we can also leverage here to really cut across the data and just get a better idea of what's happening in our account. We're excited to get this out. We're excited to get into people's hands and give them another way to interact and view their billing data, not only from the query perspective, but also within the Powerpipe mods. This is just a start. And again, all of our mods are open source. So if you were watching this and you thought of a different view or a different query or a different table that you wanted, you can go ahead and download the mod and modify it yourself and run that. You create your own custom mod and then create your own visualizations against your billing data.
This is all great stuff, Cody. Thanks so much for sharing this.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for watching, folks. If you're ready to get started with Tailpipe, you'll find more information and a getting started guide at tailpipe.io.